My kids, I mean. Yeah,
we are attending the 145th Collett-McKay Picnic, and I'm your webmaster, Michael L. McKay, and I'm going to interview Howard Doster, who has been a regular attender here since he was a child, and get a few questions and answers about this picnic.
I have almost perfect attendance. I missed the year that I was in the Navy.
When did the picnic begin?
The picnic, the Collett-McKay Picnic, started in 1866, across the road and down the road about 200 yards, on also on some of Moses McKay's former land, Arley's land. The family still owns it. Probably started, in part anyway, to see who got back from the Civil War. By the time of the Civil War, the McKays and the Colletts, most of whom had been Quakers in Virginia, and when they came out here, they had, for one way or another, all been kicked out of Quaker meetings. And they started the Methodist church just across the road, and the Baptist church about 3 miles from here, where I'll go tomorrow. Moses McKay and Daniel Collett's kids started those churches in the 1830s, right after they got married. Now then, I think they had the picnic because you got back from the war.
How did it end up on the grounds here where we met today?
I don't know, but it did. That's a good question. This land here, the 4 acres picnic ground, is owned by the trustees of the picnic. It was originally part of the first 1,000 acres that Moses McKay bought in 1805 when he still lived in Virginia. He bought it from Nathaniel Massey, who was the first surveyor in the Virginia Military Land District. Virginia Military Land extended from the Scioto River on the east to the Little Miami River on the west, here in southwestern Ohio. And this was land that Virginia claimed from the beginning of the Virginia colony. At the end of the Revolution, Virginia hadn't paid their soldiers. Virginia had their own militia, and they hadn't paid them anything, a lot of them. So they made a deal with the new colonies who were forming America that they would join with the other colonies to form the United States, provided they could give this land to their soldiers. This land between the Scioto and the Little Miami. So that was agreed to, and they joined the Union, I think, in 1784 at that time. And then a few years later, 1805, Moses McKay bought this parcel from Massey, the surveyor. And Massey probably got it because he did the survey. At that time, surveyors got paid by getting a third or half the land that they surveyed.
What was the largest attendance ever recorded?
I've forgotten. It's in the records. I need to go get the record book. 500 maybe.
I think I remember it was 512, and it was probably about 1885.
All right. 1885, that makes sense. Okay.
How did the date that we meet on get chosen, the second Saturday in August?
I don't know. You know the answer?
No, I don't.
Oh, you writing?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Put your name in.
No, I'm
9363 New Burlington Road. And while you're taking this, a picture of this, Waynesville. 9363 New Burlington Road is now the address of the house that Moses McKay built. We now own it. He built it in 1818. He and his wife brought out 22 just freed slaves from Northern Virginia, and they spent 2 years making bricks and built the house, which my wife and I now live in.
I have one more question, and that is, why has this gathering been so successful and this tradition been maintained all these years?
That's a good question. My daughter standing here listening. Come here, Ann. Why do you come? Why do you come to the picnic?
Because you don't miss picnic.
And that's what my mother said, who of course married into the family. And she said, some people go to the picnic and some don't. We do.
Can I borrow your pen?
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, there is. I'd like to know more about why Colletts and McKays came here to southwestern Ohio. They were writing a story about that and we're researching it. I met a new cousin today for the first time, who's here for the first time at the picnic. He's kind of a genealogist from Massachusetts, I think. And he and I committed to each other to search the records around Baltimore to see if we can find when the Colletts first came to this country. Because there's two different possibilities that have been identified. But I'd like to know, have some more evidence. I suspect it's related to the fact that the Quakers, both Colletts, the Collett wife, and both of the McKays were Quakers, as were lots of other people. And Colletts several times married Quakers, even though Colletts were non-Quakers, they married Quakers. And I suspect that they came here because the first Quaker meeting west of the Alleghenies was down the road here about 5 miles. I was born about 3 miles from here, and I figured out that within 7 miles of my birthplace there are 11 Quaker meetings and cemeteries. One or both my parents have relatives in 7 of the 11. Most of them had come from Northern Virginia. And so I suspect as we continue to look for a reason why they came here, it's going to be related to the Quakers coming here, because just before that, just before the first Colletts or McKays or Haynes came here, the first Quakers came to Waynesville. And then, and Moses McKay's mother, Moses McKay, you see, was the father of the 4 kids who married Colletts in the 1820s and started this picnic later. Moses' mother, he brought her to Waynesville in 1805. She was a 74-year-old widow, and she married the first recorded minister in Waynesville.
That would be Joseph
died
Cloud.
The next year. Yeah,
that would be Joseph Cloud.
Yeah. And she died the next year. So my grandkids, Ann's kids, Ann was just here, her kids are the 9th generation of McKays to have a Waynesville address. Wow. So we've sort of been here. And somehow we're related to the reason that the Quakers are here. And so I'm going to continue. Maybe we'll have another story next year, Steve.
That would be great.
Mike,
well, thank you for doing this interview with me, and look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thanks. This is fun. And you come out from Virginia. You make that trip. You're the only one from Virginia.
I make it an annual pilgrimage out here.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I
right.
remember going to your McKay picnic in Virginia. I was there for the 50th, I think, and you're now up in the 60s, I think. But I remember inviting your people to come out here, and this is our 145th, and you're the only one that's come.
Yeah. Well, I brought some guests with me, but they're off and about.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Any Haynes? Well, that's all right. We can quit.
Turn it off. Thank you.